Greetings from Tonopah, friends, relatives, and strangers on the internet. Um, just got back from my Aunt Corinne's funeral in Albuquerque, and also went down to my little brother's place outside of Alamogordo. So the bottom line is that I did a hell of a lot of driving over the last week, and after I go to the post office tomorrow, I think I'm just going to stay in bed a lot for the next week because my butt is tired. Anyway, um, this trip was a little different in a lot of ways. Tried out a bunch of new stuff while I was on the road. Some of it because it looked good and it was cheap, or they didn't have what I was looking for at the places I normally get it. So we'll talk about that first. First thing I want to mention is this hint flavored water, which was like 4 for $5 at the Rayleigh's when I was stocking up before I went down the road. And if you have a real problem with artificial sweeteners and and that sort of thing, or seltzer water, this may be for you. It's not for me. Um, I felt kind of ripped off because they were little 12-ounce bottles, and yeah, they're organic and vegan. And if that's the sort of thing you're into, great. Me, I don't really care. What I noticed was that the water was flat and there was just a suggestion of fruit flavoring. Now, it may not have been as strong for me because my taste buds were damaged in the Cold War, as I like to say. But yeah, this stuff did not rock my world even a little bit. So I'm gonna have to say, if this is the kind of thing that you want, then go for it. Me, not buying it again. Not recommended. The other thing that I went with was some disposable razors from Daxton which I picked up at the Family Dollar when it turned out they were out of Barbasol razors, which they usually have a fair assortment of the disposable variety. And I picked up the triple blade and the double blade, and both of them worked pretty well. Especially with a big thick coat of Barbasol shaving cream coating my face. Um, the main reason I picked the Daxtons up was that, as I said, they were out of the usual Barbasol disposables, which I'm a big fan of. Um, and fuck Gillette, seriously, I hate those people. And so, no Gillette razors. So that kind of narrows it down. I could have either gotten the Bic razors, which I've had bad experiences with before, or I could try out the Daxtons, and they were all right. They were cheap. They're made in Vietnam, in case you're one of these people who's trying to reduce the amount of stuff that you buy coming from the vile Uyghur butchers of West Taiwan, the vile betrayers of the Three People's Principles. Um, so yeah, recommended. Um, what else did I pick up on the way while I was running around? Yeah, those are pretty much the only new things. Oh yeah, E15 gas at various Mavericks in Arizona and New Mexico. This stuff is not the E85 ethanol. Um, it's more like the mid-grade stuff I used to get at Casey's and other gas stations in Iowa. Um, it's about 80. It's 88 octane, which makes it a little better than regular, and it's also on average 10 cents cheaper than the 87 octane regular. Didn't seem to make that much difference in the mileage. Uh, it didn't do horrible things to my Kia because um, the Kia was made after the cutoff date when cars were supposed to be able to handle E15, so it seemed to do okay. Um, Getting back to the original topic, um, I was really surprised to hear that Aunt Karina died. I didn't know her very well. We used to play Words for Friends before I um, fell out of the habit of doing that during tax season. And all I don't remember the last time I met her in person. It might have been at Uncle Joe Jaramillo's funeral some years ago. But anyway, um, all I really knew about her was that my mom had some serious beef with her, um, owing to the fact that she married into the family by marrying mom's brother Joe Ortega, not to be confused with Joe Jaramillo, and she divorced him. And since my mom was pretty hardcore traditionalist Catholic, that didn't go over so well. So, um, but it didn't matter. I mean, his dad used to say are for the living. So I was going down there to, you know, be supportive to Carlos and my other cousins, and I was. After the funeral and the interment, we went to a community center up in Rio Rancho, and mostly I hung out with the Jaramillos, as Carlos joked. This is the military brat table, and so that was pretty cool. I get along real well with the Jaramillos, probably because we come from similar backgrounds, and a lot of us have done our time in the military as well. So, but the whole process of getting down there was just just totally exhausting. I went down, originally drove down last Monday, I think it was. Yeah, a Monday, and I stayed at the cannery for 2 nights. Um, I got all the VA stuff done on Tuesday. I had a wound care appointment in the morning, and I was seeing Dr. Kletsky for the annual "Hi, how are you? You're still alive. Let's run some labs" deal. And Wednesday, I went over to the VA, left some urine, gave some blood, and then hit the Maverick for fuel, hit the Sonic for fluids, and headed down the road. I made pretty good time going down the 515, which is going to be renamed the Interstate 11 someday. Um, and I didn't stop until I got to Kingman, where I forgot where the Maverick was and had to screw around on the back streets a little bit before I finally got there. But yeah, from there, I theoretically probably could have gotten to Albuquerque in another 4 hours from there, but I'd already been on the road for 2 hours, and the idea of putting in another 6 hours to get to Albuquerque just made me tired just thinking about it. So Um, I made a command decision to just crash in Winslow overnight. And Winslow's changed a lot since the last time I was there, which would have been, I guess, about 5 years ago when I went down for Uncle Joe Jaramillo's funeral. I stayed there overnight in this kind of low rent travel lodge kind of place. But this year there was a really nice quality inn right off Interstate 40 with a McDonald's across the street and a Maverick on the other side of the 40, along with a Walmart, which I never quite got to, even though I thought real hard about going there and getting um, bandage scissors and some other things that I could have used, but I didn't. And anyway, the quality was really nice, fairly cheap, and after I got up the next morning, um, sleeping in too late for the breakfast buffet, as I usually do, and got into Albuquerque about 5 o'clock local time. Checked into a Days Inn and crashed hard. Woke up the next day and discovered that I had not brought my bandage scissors with me, which was stupid. But um, I just suited up, went to the funeral, went to the interment, went to the reception, stopped at a Walgreens and a Sonic on the way back to the hotel, and made the mistake of ordering way too much Indian food for dinner because it was like 100 degrees out in Albuquerque, and it's a little more humid than it is here in Nevada, which was unpleasant. And since I've been doing just a ton load of driving already that week, I decided, well, I'll just stay in and order in from Uber Eats. And Taste of India in Albuquerque, very top notch, very good appetizers. The butter chicken was great, but after the two appetizers I ordered, or was it three? I can't remember. Anyway, there was just too much. I just couldn't finish it, which was just as well because it jacked my sugar up pretty good. Anyhow, um, so I got up Saturday morning, drove for hours and hours and hours. It was actually only 3 hours, but it seemed a lot longer to get to Carlos's place, and his dogs were happy to see me. You know, I smelled like Carlos, and that was fine with them. And his mastiff in particular was very quietly affectionate, and I scratched gave him plenty of scritches. The pit bulls, on the other hand, were young and hyper, and I had to swat one of them on the nose a couple of times because he was just jumping all over me and too old for that shit. So, um, I was originally going to stay till Monday and head back, but um, the flip top 1 week container that I had for my pills had popped open and shed Monday morning's pills all over the porch, which I didn't notice till I got inside. And by then it was too late. And also, Carlos's AC ain't working that great. So I decided to head out Sunday morning, and I made pretty good time coming back. Instead of going back the way I came along 380 and 70, I just followed 70 down into Alamogordo, um, hit the Sonic as one does, and the Dunkin', and drove down to Las Cruces where I caught Interstate 25 back north to Albuquerque, and lo and behold, Winslow again. Stayed in the same hotel, different room, didn't care. Um, and Monday morning I got up and pushed all the way to Palace Station, which was having a nice midweek special. Um, got a good room on the 12th floor with a great view of the Chick-fil-A across the street and the north end of the strip. But I didn't care. I was there mainly to crash, sleep, change my bandages, all that stuff, which I did. Um, and Tuesday morning, this morning, I got up and scraped my face, put my dirty T-shirt back on because I ran out of clothes along with pills. Just didn't. I forget what my original reasoning behind packing clothes was. Um, I have a vague memory of thinking, well, I'll just do my laundry at Carlos's house, and by the time I got there, I was just too tired to do much of anything except sit around and bullshit with him for a few hours before setting up the nose hose and going to sleep. Um, and of course, I didn't stop at the Walmart in Winslow to get a clean T-shirt. I didn't stop at Las Vegas workwear on Sahara to pick up a scrub top. This is one I've had for years. I just I just got up on Tuesday, packed my shit, got in the car, and drove home. Um, Much like the last time I came home from Vegas, I pushed straight through. I did stop in Goldfield at the Dinky Diner and discovered why I had never stopped there before. Um, Turns out they're open from 8 to 4 most of the week. And most of the time when I've been coming back from Vegas, well, by the time I hit Goldfield, it's after 4 o'clock. Oh well. On the off chance any of you might be passing through there, it's worth stopping at. I put them to the Master Sergeant Trainer test. Dad always said you could tell the quality of a joint by how they cooked a nice basic thing like a hamburger, and that's what I had. And it was good. Fries were hand cut, or at least fresh cut. And the only down mark I would give them is that they didn't have Coke, but that's all right. Their unsweet tea was fine. So yeah, if you happen to be in Goldfield before 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock on a Saturday, hit the Dinky Diner. You will not regret it. So after that, um, I took a picture which I'm going to be submitting to Dave's Auto Identification Service on Twitter. Dave Berge, formerly known as Iowa Hawk, does a thing where he identifies obscure old automobiles, and I got some good ones for him, I think. Um, Other things. Turns out I actually can stay at the Fisher House when I'm going down to the VA, and I may do that. Because for one thing, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than staying at the Cannery or any of the other hotels in the vicinity. Of course, it's space available, so we'll see what happens. Um, that's about all I got to say about this last week's peregrinations. Except for the obligatory, I'm really getting too old for this shit. I think the next time I go down to Albuquerque or Alamogordo or both. I'm just going to fly into Albuquerque and rent a car because I think it's going to take me a couple of days to rest up from all this driving around. I really don't handle it as well as I used to. I remember with some irritation the fact that when I was in my 20s I could just jump in the Corolla and drive 10 hours up 95 from home in Forest Heights to Fort Devens, or conversely 10 hours back down 95 to go home on the weekend. But that shouldn't really surprise me because it's been a long time since I was 20, and definitely not in as good a shape now as I was then. But that's enough whining about that. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not yet signed up for Son of SilverCon, please do so. You can find the link to sign up, whether you're attending or supporting, at fishin-chan.org. The links are right on the front page. And that's about it for tonight.